Hello everyone and welcome to VG Lore, the best place for video game lore and stories. In this series of video games we're going to be covering the story of Metal Gear. Okay, so Metal Gear is a tactical espionage action game developed by Konami and Kojima Productions. The story of Metal Gear began back in 1987 on the MSX2 with the release of Metal Gear, and despite the relatively neutral reception from gamers, since then it has released over 25 sequels and spin-offs as of 2015. Well known for its rich, diverse and lengthy backstory, the Metal Gear series took video game storytelling to new levels, focusing a lot of time on narrative and action in cutscenes to create a sort of movie game. With over 25 games worth of story to get through, probably shouldn't waste any time, so let's go. Okay, so we're going to begin with the events of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, as this is the earliest instance in which we ever see any of the characters that we're going to be learning about over the next few videos. So the year is 1964, at the early years of the Cold War. We follow a CIA Black Ops field agent who, at the moment, we know by the name Jack. He's a highly skilled operative for the newly formed Force Operation X Unit, or Fox Unit for short, being led by Commander David O, codenamed Major Zero. He'd sent to Tsleninoyarsk, Russia to recover a Soviet rocket scientist by the name Nikolai Sokolov, who had been forced by the KGB to work on a secret weapon. Worried about a potential nuclear threat from the Soviet Union, the US ordered the safe return of Sokolov to prevent the Soviets from finishing the weapon. After jumping from a US military aircraft and landing in Soviet territory, Jack makes contact with Major Zero to receive his orders. Here they're established their codenames for the mission. Zero appoints Jack the codename Naked Snake, this being a reference to the fact that he's left with limited supplies and equipment. Commander David chooses Major Tom as his alias. He's also introduced to the radio support team, which consists of Dr. Clark, aka Paramedic, the mission's medical officer, who we'll find out later plays an important role during the events of Zanzibar Land and Shadow Moses. Then, Snake is stunned to learn that the final member of the support team is renowned war hero and mentor of Naked Snake, the boss. Now, the conversation that follows tells us a lot about her relationship with Snake. I mean, the words of wisdom she gives to him, how she taught him everything she knows, and how she can even tell how much weight Snake has lost just by the sound of his voice. We can clearly see that she's highly skilled, intelligent, and experienced. Snake feels abandoned after the boss left before he could finish his training with her. He comments that she never taught him how to think like a soldier. The boss retorts, saying that she can't teach Snake how to think like a soldier. It is something that Snake will have to discover for himself. She goes on to explain that even though they're on the same side now, that doesn't mean that they'll always will be, and that politics decide who their enemy is. That a soldier is a political tool, and nothing more. Because Snake is looking for a reason to fight, this is what separates him from being a soldier, a tool of war. After this, Zero makes mention of a group of unique warriors who helped end World War II, a group that the boss was a part of, the Cobra Unit. We will learn more about them later, but for now, Zero's mention of them here is only to prepare us for when we meet them. From here, Snake makes his way towards a testing site at an abandoned factory where Sokolov is being held. Once he arrives, he finds Sokolov as he's burning documents in a fireplace. After identifying himself as an agent of the CIA, Sokolov appears desperate to leave quickly, before the arrival of a GRU colonel by the name of Yevgeny Borosovich Volgin. Now, we won't go too far into Volgin right now, but basically his plan is to overthrow the current leader of the Soviet Union, Nikita Khrushchev, using the combined force of the Brezhnev faction and the anti-government military, to which he will then install his own leaders and have rule over the Soviet. Now, don't worry if you don't know what any of these groups are, they're not exactly important to the story as a whole. So, Snake and Sokolov attempt to leave the abandoned factory towards their extraction point, but before they can, they're apprehended by KGB soldiers. But before anything can escalate, a man presents himself who the KGB acknowledge is not part of their group. This is in fact revealed to be a GRU major by the name of Ocelot. He shows up to attempt to capture Sokolov for Volgin, and he does this by killing all of the KGB soldiers single-handedly. He calls out the rest of his unit and then proceeds to gloat about his skills and gun handling, then attempting to kill Snake, but this fails. Snake takes its opportunity to disarm and incapacitate Ocelot and his unit. A quick thing I want to mention is that Snake scolds Ocelot in his use of a flawed technique in the midst of a gunfight, that his style is more suited to a revolver, but he then commends him on his skill, describing him as pretty good. Before Ocelot falls unconscious, he reiterates Snake's words, seeing pretty good as a bit of an understatement. This is something small, but it helps us understand the relationship between Snake and Ocelot as it develops later. Now during the gunfight with the Grue soldiers, Sokolov fled, but Snake manages to catch up with him at a bridge. It is here that Snake gets his first look at Sokolov's secret weapon, the Shagohod, an all-terrain tank designed to fire nuclear warheads with only a single pilot required to operate. Sokolov explains that the tank is incomplete right now and that it is currently at the first stage of its two-stage production process, and without Sokolov's help, Volga will never be able to finish it. So they cross a bridge and head to the extraction point, but as they're crossing, Snake spots a figure at the other side, hidden in fog. As they step out of the fog, Snake is shocked to learn that it is in fact his mentor, the boss. Now Snake is just confused at this point, especially when the boss asks him to hand over Sokolov. But before he can even do that, suddenly he gets surrounded by hornets, and from amongst the hornets a figure grabs Sokolov, pulling him from the bridge and into a helicopter hovering overhead. It's here that we see that it is in fact the Cobra unit. Okay, so we're going to break off from the story here just to explain the Cobra unit a little bit. They consist of 6 members, each member codenamed after the emotion that they carry with them into battle. First, there's the Pain, a tower of a man standing at over 2 meters in height. He has the ability to control swarms of hornets using the sound produced by the queen hornet he has hidden in his waist pack. Because of this ability, his face is disfigured with hornet stings. The pain he feels from these wounds is what gave him his codename. Next is the Fear, a man obsessed with the idea of instilling fear into those around him. He had extensive surgery to allow him to have double joints, a fork in his tongue similar to a lizard, and golden reptilian eyes, giving him the appearance of a snake. It is because of the fear he carries into battle that gave him his codename. Third is the End. A legendary and highly skilled sniper, his ability allows him to focus solely on his target, absorbing energy from the sun. At over 100 years of age, he was at the brink of death, constantly falling asleep during battle. But he has a spotter in the form of a parrot that would wake him up should he ever fall asleep. His being on the edge of oblivion is what gave him his codename. Then there's the Fury. He was the first Russian to venture to space even before Yuri Gagarin, but during his re-entry to the Earth's atmosphere, a fire was triggered, which engulfed him in flames, causing severe burns to his entire body. The trauma from this event caused his sanity to break, being haunted by visions of fire constantly. He became obsessed with the flames, and always carried a flamethrower into battle. His fury spawned from his resentment of surviving the incident. It is this fury that gave him his codename. The Sorrow. A gifted medium, he had the ability to summon the dead and bring their spirits into himself, gaining their skills and experience. This also allowed him during combat to gain enemy intel from dead soldiers. He felt deep sorrow and remorse for the death he brought during battle. It is this that gave him his codename. And finally, the Joy, the Boss. She was considered to be the greatest soldier. Her loyalty to her country, her beliefs, her charisma, everything about her made her the perfect warrior. Everything she did for the good of her country. Snake knows this more than anyone, which is what makes her appearance in Selenoyarsk so shocking and unbelievable. It is the joy of battle and love for her country that gave the boss her codename. The Cobra unit are extremely loyal to the boss, they follow her every command, and they will even die for her cause. Alright, so let's get back to the story. So after we're introduced to the Cobra unit, another figure steps out onto the bridge. This is in fact Colonel Volgin. Snake demands answers as to what's happening, to which the boss confirms that she's in fact defecting to the Soviet Union, and that Sokolov is a gift to Volgin. Snake attempts to stop her, but before he can restrain her, the boss disassembles Snake's weapon in one swift movement. Snake tries to take the boss using CQC, a form of close quarters combat that he and the boss in fact developed together. Of course, Snake is outmatched by the boss, and she breaks his arm. Here, Volgin says that because Snake has seen his face, he needs to be disposed of. He plans on doing this himself, but the boss stops him, claiming that because Snake was her disciple, she should be the one to finish him off. She then throws Snake from the bridge, but Snake manages to grab a hold of her bandana, and as he's thrown, pulls it from her head. We see him fall into the river below, and as the current pulls him downstream, he passes out. We then see the boss back on the bridge, bidding farewell to Snake, saying that her place is with them now. From here we're taken to Snake, washed up on a riverbank as he's regaining consciousness. As he waits for Major Zero to come and pick him up, he spots the Shagohod being carried from the test site by a helicopter. From here, we cut to Volgin and Ocelot aboard one of the helicopters. Volgin opens a crate containing a Davy Crockett recoilless rifle, which was a gift from the boss. Now, aboard the helicopter with them is a woman that Ocelot informs to Volgin is supposedly Sokolov's lover. Ocelot asks what they will do with her, to which Volgin replies that he will keep her for himself. But as Volgin gets a closer look at her, the woman attempts to attack Volgin with a kiss of death, which is a single-shot weapon disguised as lipstick. This is a weapon favoured by female KGB spies. Ocelot and Volgin know this, and so they believe that she could be of some use to them. Volgin then picks up the nuclear warhead launcher, exclaiming that he has no further use for Sokolov's research facility. Ocelot protests that even though that they are their enemies, they are still their countrymen. Volgin doesn't care about this and he fires the missile anyway, and it explodes, Ocelot watching in disbelief. Snake feels the force of the blast and stands to see a mushroom cloud left by the nuclear missile in what used to be Sokolov's research facility. Okay, so we're going to end the video here for today, but next time we're going to continue on and discuss the aftermath of what Volgin's done, and the events set in motion as a result of the boss's defection, and what that means for Naked Snake. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please feel free to subscribe for more. If you feel that there's something important that I've missed, or if there's any topics that you want me to cover, then let me know in the comments. Until next time, see you later.
I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme.